Captain Ethan Miller stood at the viewport of the Earth Defense Force flagship Intrepid, his eyes fixed on the distant speck of light growing steadily larger against the starfield. After decades of searching the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, humanity's first contact was approaching the edge of the Sol system. "Captain, the alien vessel will reach our position in 20 minutes. Lieutenant Sam Harrison reported from the tactical station. The bridge crew worked with focused precision, but Ethan could sense their tension. This moment would change human history forever. "Status of our shields?" Ethan asked, his voice calm despite the weight of the situation. "Operating at full capacity, sir. Weapon systems on standby but not armed as ordered." Ethan nodded. "Let's not give our visitors any reason to think we're hostile." He tapped his communication panel. "Dr. Wright, are you ready?" Dr. Olivia Wright's voice came through clearly. "As ready as anyone can be to speak with an alien civilization, Captain. My team has the translation algorithms prepared." The next 20 minutes passed in tense silence. The alien ship grew from a speck to a magnificent vessel 3 times the size of the Intrepid. Its design was unlike anything humans had imagined. Smooth curves of a deep blue material that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. "They're hailing us, Captain," the communications officer said. Ethan straightened his uniform. "Put them through to the main screen and connect Dr. Wright." The view screen flickered and revealed a being with silvery skin and large, intelligent eyes. 4 slender arms moved with elegant precision as it adjusted something off-screen. "Greetings, people of Earth," the alien said in perfect English, surprising everyone on the bridge. "I am Zarthal, envoy of the Galactic Cooperative. We have been observing your civilization and deemed this the appropriate time for formal introduction." After a moment of stunned silence, Ethan found his voice. "I am Captain Ethan Miller of the Earth Defense Force. We welcome you to our solar system and extend greetings on behalf of humanity." Olivia Wright stepped forward. "You speak our language." "Remarkably well." Zarthal made a gesture that might have been their version of a smile. "We have monitored your communications for decades. Your species has been of particular interest to the Cooperative due to your rapid technological advancement." "The Cooperative?" Ethan asked. "A union of 37 spacefaring species who share knowledge, resources, and peaceful relations. Earth may qualify for provisional membership, should your leaders desire it." Admiral Frank Carter's voice came through Ethan's private channel. "Captain, invite their representative aboard. The President wants this meeting to happen now." Within the hour, Zarthal and 2 other aliens were escorted to the Intrepid's conference room. Dr. Wright sat beside Captain Miller, carefully observing their guests' mannerisms while Admiral Carter joined via secure video link from Earth. "The Cooperative spans 3 spiral arms of the galaxy," Zarthal explained, projecting a holographic map that filled the center of the table. "We have achieved technological harmony and biological diversity unmatched in known space." "Admiral E." Carter leaned forward in his video feed. "And what would Earth gain from this membership? Access to technologies centuries beyond your current capabilities, medical advances that have eliminated disease in member worlds, clean energy solutions, faster-than-light travel improvements that would make your current system seem primitive." Ethan noticed Dr. Wright's excitement. This was everything humanity had hoped for from first contact. "And what does the Cooperative expect in return?" Ethan asked. "Cultural exchange. Resource sharing based on fair trade agreements. Adherence to cooperative laws and principles," Zarthal replied. "Most importantly, acceptance of our primary directive of non-confrontation." Before Admiral Carter could respond, warning alarms blared throughout the ship. "Captain, 3 unknown vessels just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They're approaching rapidly and have weapons charged." Lieutenant Harrison's voice called. Over the comm system, Ethan saw the alien delegates exchange worried glances. "The Void Harbingers," Zarthal said quietly. "We feared they might have tracked our approach." "Who are the Void Harbingers?" Admiral Carter demanded. "A faction that separated from the Cooperative 2 centuries ago. They believe in forceful expansion and resource acquisition rather than peaceful cooperation." The ship rocked as the first Shots hit their shields. "Return to the bridge," Ethan ordered his crew. "Zarthal, you and your delegates should come with us." On the bridge, chaos greeted them. The view screen showed 3 black angular ships firing energy weapons at both the Intrepid and the cooperative vessel. "Shields at 70%, Lieutenant," Harrison reported. "Their weapons technology is superior to ours." A new face appeared on the view screen, a being with scaled gray skin and yellow eyes filled with contempt. "Humans of Earth, I am Void Commander Kralax. Your planet has resources we require. Submit to biological resource extraction, or we will destroy your major cities one by one." Admiral Carter's face hardened on his video feed. "Earth does not respond to threats." Kralax made a harsh sound that might have been laughter. "Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. You have 6 Earth hours to prepare your surrender terms." The transmission cut off abruptly. "Captain, what are your orders?" Lieutenant Harrison asked. Before Ethan could respond, Zarthal stepped forward. "Captain Miller, the cooperative's policy is clear on these matters. We do not engage with terrorist groups. Negotiation is the only path forward." "Negotiation?" Ethan turned to face the alien delegate. "They just threatened to destroy our cities." "The Void Harbingers make these threats to many worlds. Usually they accept resource tributes and leave the population largely unharmed." Admiral Carter's voice was cold. "You pay them off?" "It minimizes casualties," Zarthal explained. "The cooperative finds this preferable to conflict." Ethan looked at the Admiral, then back to the alien diplomat. "With all due respect, Zarthal, Earth has a different policy on terrorism." "What policy is that?" Zarthal asked. Admiral Carter answered, his voice firm and resolute. "We don't bargain with terrorists." Ethan turned to his crew. "Lieutenant Harrison, ready all weapons. Dr. Wright, I need everything the cooperative knows about these Void Harbingers ships. It's time to show our new friends and enemies alike what happens when you threaten Earth." The human crew moved with renewed purpose while Zarthal watched in stunned silence, witnessing something the Galactic Cooperative had never seen before. A species that refused to be intimidated on its first day among the stars. The news of the alien threat spread quickly across Earth. Within an hour of the Void Harbinger's ultimatum, the United Earth government called an emergency session. President Alicia Martinez sat at the head of the table, her face grim as Admiral. Frank Carter explained the situation via secure video link from his command center. "The alien terrorists have given us 6 hours to surrender," Admiral Carter said. "Meanwhile, the friendly aliens, this galactic cooperative, seem shocked that we're not immediately preparing to give in." President Martinez frowned. "They expected us to surrender without a fight? According to their envoy Zarthal, most species choose to pay these tributes rather than risk conflict." The Defense Secretary spoke up. "What exactly are our options here? Their technology is clearly superior." 2 hours. In a small office down the hall from the emergency meeting, intelligence analyst Kelly Douglas stared intently at her screen. For the past hour, she had been analyzing the intercepted communications between the Void Harbinger ships. Something about their transmission patterns seemed familiar. Kelly picked up her phone. "Sir, I need to speak with Admiral Carter immediately. I think I found something." 10 minutes later, Kelly stood before the emergency council, trying to keep her voice steady. "The Void Harbinger's communication systems have a flaw," she explained, pointing to her data. "Their shields generate interference patterns every time they send messages between ships. There's a 2-second vulnerability after each transmission." "Admiral?" Carter leaned forward. "You're certain?" "Yes, sir. And based on their communication frequency, I think we can predict when these gaps will occur." President Martinez looked at her military advisors. "Can we exploit this?" "We can," Admiral Carter said, "but we'll need to coordinate with the Intrepid." On board the Intrepid, Captain Ethan Miller listened carefully as Admiral Carter relayed Kelly's discovery. Beside him, Lieutenant Sam Harrison was already running simulations on the tactical display. "If this works," Harrison said, "we could potentially disable their weapon systems without destroying their ships." Zarthal, who had been quietly observing from the side of the bridge, stepped forward. "Captain Miller, I must advise against this course of action. The Void Harbingers will escalate if challenged. The cooperative has centuries of experience with them. With all due respect, Ethan replied, those centuries of experience involve giving in to their demands. That's not how we handle threats to Earth. Dr. Olivia Wright, who had been analyzing the cooperative's database, joined them. Captain, I found something interesting. The Void Harbingers have never encountered a species that refused to negotiate. There's nothing in their protocols for dealing with direct resistance. Ethan smiled grimly. Then they're about to learn something new about the universe. President Martinez addressed the people of Earth via an emergency broadcast. Her voice was calm but resolute as billions watched. Citizens of Earth, today we made first contact with an alien civilization called the Galactic Cooperative. This historic moment was interrupted by a terrorist group known as the Void Harbingers, who have threatened our planet. They expect us to surrender and provide them with our resources. She paused, her eyes determined. I have a simple response. Humanity does not negotiate with terrorists. We never have. We never will. As she spoke, Earth's secretly developed orbital defense network powered up for the first time. Dozens of satellites, disguised as communication relays and research stations, revealed their true nature as defensive platforms. Zarthal watched, in astonishment from the Intrepid's bridge. You had these defenses already in place? The cooperative's observations never detected them. Earth has faced its own threats throughout history, Ethan explained. We've learned to be prepared. Admiral, Carter's voice came through the command channel. Captain Miller, you are authorized to engage the Void Harbingers. Earth's defensive grid will coordinate with your attack. Hit them hard and fast. Show them what happens when they threaten our planet. Ethan turned to Lieutenant Harrison. Program the targeting computers with Ms. Douglas's data. We'll time our attacks to hit during those 2-second shield gaps. The crew of the Intrepid moved with practiced efficiency. Within minutes, they were ready. Sir, Harrison reported, the Void Harbingers are sending another communication. Shield, vulnerability in 5 seconds. Ethan nodded. Fire. The Intrepid's weapons discharged in perfect synchronization with Earth's orbital platforms. The energy beam struck the first Void Harbinger ship precisely when its shields flickered. The alien vessel shuddered as its weapon systems went offline. Direct hit on their main weapons array, Harrison announced. Their shields are attempting to recalibrate. On the view screen, the other 2 Void Harbinger ships quickly adjusted formation to protect their damaged ally. Void Commander Kralax's face appeared on the screen, his yellow eyes wide with shock. How did you penetrate our shields? No species has ever... He stopped, composing himself. Perhaps we were hasty. We are willing to discuss more reasonable terms. Ethan exchanged glances with Admiral Carter on the video feed, then turned back to the alien commander. You threatened Earth. There are no terms to discuss. Before Kralax could respond, the Intrepid fired again, striking the second ship during its next communication cycle. Earth's defense grid followed suit, landing precise hits on vulnerable points. Zarthal watched in stunned silence as humanity displayed military coordination that the cooperative had never seen before. This is unprecedented, the alien envoy whispered. The Void Harbingers attempted to regroup, sending increasingly desperate communications between their ships, each transmission creating another opportunity for the Earth forces to strike. They're powering up their engines, Harrison reported. I think they're preparing to retreat. Kralax appeared on screen once more. We underestimated your species. The Void Harbingers offer cessation of hostilities if you allow us to depart. Your system, Admiral Carter replied before Ethan could. You have exactly 30 seconds to begin your withdrawal. After that, we continue our attack. The 3 alien ships quickly turned and accelerated away from Earth, their damaged systems trailing visible energy fluctuations. As the immediate threat receded, Ethan turned to Zarthal. This is how Earth responds to threats. Remember that when you report back to your cooperative. The alien envoy studied Ethan for a long moment. The cooperative has encountered many species throughout the galaxy, Captain Miller. But I believe humans may be unique in ways we never anticipated. This response will send ripples across galactic society. Ethan looked out at the view screen where the retreating ships were now barely visible. Those ripples are just beginning. Now that Earth knows we're not alone, and that there are threats out there, we'll be preparing accordingly. What happens next? Zarthal asked. Now, Admiral Carter said from his video feed. We send a message to the galaxy. Earth is opening diplomatic relations with the Galactic Cooperative, and we're appointing Ambassador Nicole Bennett to represent humanity. But we're also making something very clear. Anyone who threatens Earth will receive the same response as the Void Harbingers. Humanity doesn't bargain with terrorists. 2 weeks after the encounter with the Void Harbingers, Ambassador Nicole Bennett arrived at the Galactic Cooperative Central Station. The massive space structure orbited a neutral star at the junction of 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Nicole looked out the viewports of the human diplomatic shuttle, trying to hide her amazement at the scale of alien engineering before her. It's bigger than Manhattan, she whispered to Commander Ryan Peters, the military attaché assigned to her team, and home to representatives from 37 spacefaring civilizations, Ryan added. Until today. Dr. Olivia Wright adjusted the translator device at her collar. After studying the Cooperative's database shared by Zarthal, she had become humanity's foremost expert on galactic languages and protocols. Remember, Ambassador, the Cooperative Council has been in continuous session for over 300 years. They're not used to quick decisions or direct confrontation, Olivia cautioned. Nicole nodded. Which is exactly why humanity needs to make our position clear from the start. Their shuttle docked at the diplomatic bay, where Zarthal waited to escort them to the council chambers. The alien envoy had remained on Earth briefly after the incident, helping establish initial diplomatic protocols. Ambassador Bennett, welcome to Harmony Station, Zarthal said with a formal gesture. The Grand Council is eager to meet with you, though I must warn you that news of your encounter with the Void Harbingers has created quite a stir. The human delegation followed Zarthal through towering corridors filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some moved on multiple legs, others floated above the ground, and a few seemed to shimmer between solid and gaseous states. They entered an enormous circular chamber with hundreds of representatives seated in rising tiers. At the center stood a raised platform where an elegant tall being waited. Its skin shimmered with patterns that seemed to reflect its emotions. Grand Counselor Tavis, Zarthal announced. I present Ambassador Nicole Bennett of Earth. Tavis made a flowing gesture that the translator rendered as formal welcome. Ambassador, your arrival marks a historic moment. Earth is the first new species to petition for cooperative membership in 73 cycles. Nicole stepped forward. Grand Counselor, Earth appreciates the welcome. However, I must clarify that we are here to establish diplomatic relations, not to petition for membership. Earth wishes to understand the cooperative better before considering such a step. A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. Zarthal leaned close to Nicole. This approach is unusual. Most species are eager to gain access to cooperative technologies. Earth moves at its own pace, Nicole replied quietly. Grand Counselor Tavis tilted his head in what seemed to be surprise. As you wish, Ambassador. What topics would you like to discuss first? The Void Harbingers, Nicole said firmly. Earth would like to understand why the Cooperative has allowed a terrorist organization to operate freely for centuries. The chamber fell silent. Tavis's skin patterns darkened. This is not a typical opening diplomatic discussion, Ambassador. Perhaps not, but Earth was attacked within minutes of making first contact. We believe this issue cannot wait. While Nicole engaged with the Council, Dr. Wright accessed the public archives available to diplomatic guests. She moved through historical records spanning thousands of years, focusing on interactions with the Void Harbingers. Hours later, the human delegation gathered in their assigned quarters. The diplomatic meeting had ended with little progress, as most council members seemed uncomfortable discussing the Void Harbingers directly. I found something disturbing, Olivia said, displaying her findings on a screen. The Void Harbingers have been extracting resources from cooperative worlds for over 600 years. They've grown from a small splinter group to controlling territory in 2 spiral arms. Commander Peters studied the data. They've never been seriously challenged. Each time they demand resources, the targeted worlds simply pay up. And the cooperative does nothing? Nicole asked. Not nothing, Olivia corrected. They negotiate reduced tribute amounts and celebrate when the harbingers leave with only minimal resource extraction. Nicole shook her head in disbelief. This can't continue. A soft chime indicated someone at their door. Zarthal entered, followed by Grand Counselor Tavis. The Grand Counselor's skin now displayed subdued patterns indicating a private conversation. Ambassador Bennett, Tavis said quietly. I wish to speak unofficially. Nicole gestured to a seating area. Please join us. Tavis settled into a chair designed to accommodate various alien physiologies. What you said in council today has caused great disturbance. Many species fear you will provoke the Void Harbingers into greater aggression. With respect, Grand Counselor, appeasement has only made them stronger, Nicole replied. I know, Tavis admitted, surprising the humans. Many of us know, but our founding principle of non-confrontation has become rigid over time. The cooperative began as a peaceful trading alliance, not a defensive pact. Commander Peters leaned forward. The Void Harbingers retreated after our encounter, but they'll be back, possibly with reinforcements. Earth is preparing, but we'd prefer not to stand alone. You may not have to, Zarthal said. Since news of Earth's defense spread, 7 species have privately contacted me, expressing interest in your approach. Dr. Wright looked up from her data tablet. The Harbingers aren't just taking resources, are they? Based on population statistics, they're taking people. Tavis's skin darkened to deep indigo. For labor, for experimentation, yes. Nicole stood up, her resolve strengthening. Tomorrow I will address the full council again. Earth proposes a joint task force, voluntary participation only, to eliminate the Void Harbinger threat permanently. Most species will refuse, Tavis warned, but not all, Nicole countered. Sometimes it only takes a few to start change. The next day, Nicole stood before the council, her voice clear and confident. Commander Peters had prepared tactical data showing the Void Harbingers' retreat patterns, suggesting the location of their main base. Dr. Wright had compiled historical evidence of their escalating demands over centuries. The cooperative has chosen a path of appeasement for 600 years, Nicole said to the assembled representatives. Earth chooses a different path. We will not pay tribute. We will not surrender resources. We will not allow terrorists to threaten innocent lives. Murmurs spread through the chamber, some alarmed, others interested. Earth proposes the formation of a defensive alliance within the cooperative framework. Membership is voluntary. Our goal is not merely to resist the Void Harbingers, but to eliminate their ability to threaten peaceful worlds. A representative from a small, blue-skinned species stood. My world has paid tribute 16 times. Each time they take more. Each time they promise it will be the last. We would join this alliance. Another representative rose. Then another. By the end of the session, representatives from 7 species had publicly expressed interest, while many others watched with cautious hope. As they left the council chamber, Zarthal approached Nicole. This is unprecedented in cooperative history. You've created the first military alliance in our existence. Not a military alliance, Nicole corrected. A commitment to defend our shared values against those who would use fear as a weapon. Commander Peters received an urgent message from Earth. Admiral Carter reports that 3 Void Harbinger ships were detected at the edge of our solar system. They retreated when challenged, but they're clearly testing our defenses. Nicole nodded, grimly. Then we don't have much time. Tell the Admiral that Earth won't be standing alone. The galaxy is changing, one species at a time. 1 month after the formation of the Defensive Alliance, Admiral Frank Carter stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Defender. Around his ship, vessels from 7 alien species formed a fleet unlike anything the galaxy had seen in centuries. Each ship displayed different designs and technologies, but they all shared a common purpose. Fleet status report, Admiral Carter ordered. All ships report ready, Admiral. his communications officer replied. The Vendari stealth systems are fully integrated with our detection grid. Chief Engineer Greg Alvarez approached with a data tablet. The weapon modifications are complete. We've adapted the shield-penetrating technology to work with our allies' systems. Admiral Carter nodded. And what about the ground forces? Colonel Paul Jackson reports all teams are prepared for deployment, the tactical officer said. Major Diana Scott's mixed-species strike team has completed their final training exercises. The Alliance had named their mission Operation Nemesis. After weeks of intelligence gathering, they had located the Void Harbinger's main base in a remote system at the edge of the Cygnus Arm. The base was hidden in an asteroid field protected by powerful defense systems. Captain Ethan Miller, recently returned from Earth, joined Admiral Carter at the view screen. His experience with the initial Void Harbinger encounter had made him a key advisor for the operation. Admiral, the Kyril scouts have returned, Ethan reported. They confirmed 23 Harbinger vessels at the base plus the asteroid station itself. More than we expected, Admiral Carter said grimly. But not more than we can handle, a voice added. Admiral Carter turned to see Renvor, the commander of the Lurani vessels. The tall, green-skinned alien had become one of Earth's strongest allies. The Lurani had suffered under Void Harbinger extortion for generations. My people have paid tribute in resources and lives for too long, Renvor continued. Whether we succeed or fail, today we face our fears. Admiral Carter addressed the gathered commanders. The plan remains unchanged. The Vendari ships will cloak our approach. The Lurani and Earth vessels will engage their orbital defenses. The Kyril and Zintaki ships will block any escape routes. Meanwhile, Colonel Jackson's ground teams will deploy to the asteroid base. Major Diana Scott stepped forward. Her special operations team consisted of soldiers from all 8 allied species. My team will infiltrate the command center and disable their central defense grid. The fleet moved out, using the Vendari stealth technology to approach the Void Harbinger base undetected. As they entered the system, Admiral Carter gave the final order. All ships, commence Operation Nemesis. The combined fleet decloaked and launched their attack. Void Harbinger vessels scrambled to respond, but the surprise was complete. Earth ships targeted the enemy vessels' communication systems, exploiting the shield vulnerabilities that intelligence analyst Kelly Douglas had discovered. Colonel Paul Jackson led the ground assault, transport ships weaving through the chaotic space battle to reach the asteroid base. All teams prepare for insertion, he ordered through his comm system. Major Scott, your strike team has priority access to the docking bay. Inside the rocky base, alarms blared as Void Harbinger commanders realized they were under full attack. For centuries, no species had dared to challenge them directly. Their defense protocols were outdated and inadequate against such a coordinated assault. Major Scott's team breached the outer defenses of the asteroid. Her squad moved efficiently through the corridors, each member using their species' unique abilities. The Zintaki could detect energy flows through walls, guiding them toward the command center. The Kyril moved silently despite their large size, neutralizing guards without raising alarms. Central control room is 3 levels down. The Zintaki, Scout reported. As they approached the command center, heavy doors sealed shut before them. Blast doors, Major Scott noted. Chief Alvarez, we need your expertise. Greg Alvarez studied the door mechanism. Standard electron lock, but triple redundant. Give me 2 minutes. While he worked, Colonel Jackson's voice came through their comms. Major, be advised. We've secured the outer rings, but encountering heavy resistance in the central hub. The Harbingers are falling back to defensive positions around the command center. Understood, Colonel. We're almost through. In space, the battle intensified. Several Void Harbinger ships attempted to flee, but the Kyril vessels cut off their escape routes. Admiral Carter watched the tactical display as Ethan Miller coordinated the Earthship's movements. Admiral, Ethan reported, we've disabled 2/3 of their fleet. The remaining vessels are retreating deeper into the asteroid field. A massive explosion rocked the battlefield as one of the Lurani cruisers took heavy damage. Renvor's voice remained calm over the comm. We can hold our position. Admiral, press the advantage. Inside the asteroid base, Major Scott's team finally breached the command center. They encountered the Void Harbinger leadership, gray-skinned beings with cold yellow eyes. At the center stood Void Commander Kralax, the same commander who had threatened Earth. "This is impossible," Kralax hissed. "No one has ever dared to attack our central base." "Times change," Major Scott replied, her weapon trained on the commander. "Surrender your forces immediately." Kralax moved toward a console. "If I activate this system, it will trigger a quantum cascade. The energy release will destabilize this entire sector. Thousands will die, including your fleet." "Don't do it," Major Scott warned. "Then bargain with me," Kralax demanded. "Safe passage for our leadership. Immunity from your justice, these are my terms." Major Scott's comm unit activated, and Admiral Carter's voice came through clearly. "This is Admiral Frank Carter of Earth. We've heard your terms, Commander Kralax." "And?" the Void Commander asked. "Humanity doesn't bargain with terrorists. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally." Kralax's yellow eyes widened in fury. "Then you leave me no choice." He lunged for the activation console. Major Scott fired, but not at Kralax. Her precise shot destroyed the console itself. The Zintaki member of her team moved with blinding speed, restraining the Void Commander before he could reach secondary controls. "It's over," Major Scott said. Colonel Jackson's forces secured the remainder of the base while Major Scott's team disabled the Harbinger's weapon systems. Across the asteroid field, seeing their leadership captured and their base taken, the remaining Void Harbinger ships began to power down their weapons. Admiral Carter received the news on the bridge of the Defender. "All Harbinger vessels are standing down, Admiral," his tactical officer reported. "Colonel Jackson reports the base is secure. Major Scott has the Void leadership in custody." Around the Admiral, the alien commanders of the Alliance vessels watched, in stunned silence. For centuries, their peoples had lived in fear of the Void Harbingers. Now, in a single day, that fear was broken. Renvor of the Lorani approached Admiral Carter. "My people have a saying, the strongest chains are those we place upon ourselves. Today, the galaxy has broken such chains." Captain Ethan Miller joined them. "We've taken casualties, Admiral. The Lorani cruiser Dawn Light was heavily damaged. 2 Earth vessels have reported significant injuries among their crews." Admiral Carter nodded solemnly. "Freedom always comes at a price. But from today forward, the Void Harbingers will never again threaten peaceful worlds." As the Alliance fleet secured their prisoners and treated their wounded, a message arrived from Earth. President Alicia Martinez's face appeared on the main screen. "Admiral Carter, Captain Miller to all forces of Operation Nemesis," she said, her voice filled with pride. "Today you've shown the galaxy what happens when free people stand together against terror. Earth honors your courage and mourns those lost in battle. Return home knowing you've changed the course of galactic history." As the message ended, Captain Miller looked out at the Alliance fleet surrounding the captured Void Harbinger base. "What do you think happens next, Admiral?" "Admiral," Carter gazed at the stars beyond. "Something new, Captain. Something the galaxy has never seen before." 1 year after Operation Nemesis, Earth hosted the first summit of the reformed Galactic Assembly. What had once been the passive galactic cooperative had transformed into something new, a true community of worlds united not just by trade but by shared principles. The summit took place in a magnificent domed structure, built specifically for the occasion on an island in the Pacific Ocean. Representatives from 24 spacefaring species attended, including all 8 that had participated in the defeat of the Void Harbingers. President Alicia Martinez welcomed the delegates in the Grand Hall. 1 year ago, humanity took its first steps into a larger universe. We discovered friends among the stars, but also threats. Today, we celebrate not just victory over those who would rule through fear, but the birth of a new understanding between our worlds. Admiral Frank Carter, now promoted to head of Earth's newly formed Stellar Defense Command, stood near a wall of memorial plaques. Each bore the names of those lost during Operation Nemesis, human and alien alike. Beside him, Renvor of the Lorani studied the names of his fallen comrades. "On my world," Renvor said quietly, "we never built monuments to those who died resisting the Harbingers. We were too afraid of provoking further attacks. Fear no longer rules your people, Admiral Carter replied. At the center of the assembly, Hall Ambassador Nicole Bennett conferred with Grand Counselor Tavis. Over the past year, she had helped draft the new assembly charter, which included mutual defense obligations, a radical departure from the old cooperative's policies. 17 species have signed the defense protocols, Nicole informed Tavis. More than I expected in just 1 year. Tavis's skin shimmered with patterns of approval. Change comes slowly to ancient civilizations, Ambassador Bennett, but when it comes, it can be profound. Dr. Olivia Wright moved through the gathering, her translator working constantly as she spoke with scientists from a dozen worlds. She had spent the year documenting the cultural shifts occurring throughout galactic society. The most fascinating aspect, she told a group of Earth researchers, is how quickly formerly passive species began standing up to other threats once the harbingers were defeated. The Zintaki drove pirates from their trading routes. The Kyril reclaimed 3 colony worlds that had been under occupation for centuries. In another part of the hall, Captain Ethan Miller, now Admiral Miller, oversaw the display of the Rapid Response Force's new flagship. Holographic projections showed the vessel under construction in Earth orbit, with crews from 24 species working together on its systems. The Unity will be ready for launch next month, Ethan explained to visitors. She combines technologies from all our member worlds. Major Diana Scott, recently promoted to colonel, demonstrated combat training techniques to a group of security officers. Her mixed-species strike team had become the model for the Assembly's new security forces. The key is leveraging each species' natural strengths, she explained. The Vendari have exceptional stealth capabilities. The Lurani can process multiple information streams simultaneously. Humans have remarkable tactical adaptability. President Martinez rang a ceremonial bell, calling the Assembly to order for the main session. The delegates took their seats as Ambassador Bennett and Grand Counselor Tavis moved to the central podium. 1 year ago, Nicole began, 8 worlds stood together against a threat that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. Today, 24 worlds stand united not in fear, but in hope. She gestured toward a large display showing the former Void Harbinger leadership in a containment facility. The Interspecies Tribunal had sentenced them to life imprisonment for crimes against sentient beings. Justice has replaced appeasement, Nicole continued. Cooperation has replaced surrender. And throughout the galaxy, a simple principle has spread from world to world. We do not bargain with those who threaten innocent life. The Assembly erupted in approval. Even species that had initially opposed Earth's approach now acknowledged its wisdom. After the formal session, Chief Engineer Greg Alvarez demonstrated new shield technology to an eager group of alien engineers. By combining Earth's shield penetration techniques with Kyril energy systems, we've created defenses that adapt to any known weapon. One of the alien engineers, a small being with crystalline skin, spoke hesitantly. My world developed similar technology centuries ago, but we hid it away. We feared that showing our strength would make us targets. And now? Greg asked. Now we bring it to the Assembly, the engineer replied. There is strength in sharing. As evening fell, Admiral Miller found Dr. Wright on a balcony overlooking the ocean. Quite a change from that first day on the Intrepid, he said. Olivia nodded. I've been interviewing representatives from various worlds. So many of them had been developing military capabilities in secret but were afraid to use them. Earth's example gave them courage. Not courage, Ethan corrected. Permission. Sometimes people just need to know they're not standing alone. The next morning, the summit concluded with the formal adoption of what became known as the Earth Principle. We do not bargain with those who threaten innocent life. As the delegates prepared to return to their homeworlds, Grand Counselor Tavis approached President Martinez. There is something you should know, Madam President. Long before we encountered Earth, many within the cooperative questioned our policy of appeasement, but challenging thousands of years of tradition seemed impossible. What changed? The President asked. You did. Tavis replied simply. Earth showed us that principles mean nothing without the courage to uphold them. 6 months later, a memorial space station was dedicated at the halfway point between Earth and the Galactic Assembly headquarters. Its central chamber displayed the names of all who had died in Operation Nemesis, along with a simple message in every language of the Assembly. They stood against fear. Visiting ships often brought students of various species to learn about the pivotal moment in galactic history. On one such educational tour, a young human teacher watched as children from Earth and 6 alien worlds explored the exhibits together. "Why didn't anyone fight the bad aliens before humans came?" a small Lorani child asked. The human teacher smiled. "Sometimes the hardest thing in the universe is to be the first one to take a stand. But once someone does, others find their courage, too." A Kiral child pointed to the Earth principle engraved on the memorial wall. "Is that why we're all friends now? Because of these words?" "Not just the words," the teacher explained. "Words are important, but it's the actions behind them that change the galaxy. When Earth said we don't bargain with terrorists, we meant it. And when we proved we would stand by our principles, other worlds found the strength to stand with us." As the children moved on to the next exhibit, Admiral Miller watched from a distance. He had come to pay his respects to fallen comrades and found himself witnessing the future instead. "Captain Miller," a familiar voice said. Zarthal now, the Assembly's historical advisor, joined him at the viewport. "It's Admiral now," Ethan corrected with a smile. "Yes, of course," Zarthal said. "I was just thinking about our first meeting, when I explained the cooperative's policy of non-confrontation. I never imagined how quickly things would change." Together, they watched the children, the first generation to grow up in a galaxy where principles mattered more than fear. A galaxy forever changed by humanity's simple, powerful message.